everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
And welcome back. This is Experts on Call on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Today, we're talking all about insurance, and in this show in particular, everything about water, the #1 cause of property claims in Canada. So joining us in the studio today from IntactInsurance, we have Patrick Magnuson, along with Cindy Cardwell, and also our resident broker, Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. And over the course of the last, 45 minutes, we've talked about a number of water damage situations that cover overland water coming from outside your house to common indoor situations with leaky bathtubs or dishwasher floods or leaky hot water tanks. Now, can we actually talk a little bit about being proactive? This is what I'm hoping. What can we actually do to help prevent water damage in our homes? Who would like to start with that?
Well, I guess the #1 thing I talk to my clients about, and I even quote them on, is a water shutoff system. There's a new system in the market, came out about a year ago, called DC Pro. So if you just go on the website or go into internet under DC Pro, it was developed in Australia. The farmers there pay so much for their water, so they actually wanted to know whether or not there was a leak in their pipes, and this system will determine over a period of time, a specific period of time, whether or not the water runs continuously. It will shut off the water. So a basic system will run you $350, and if the water runs continuously for 20 minutes, it'll shut the water off. So, but if you've got the dishwasher running and then you've got the shower on, it doesn't shut it off. But if it runs at the same flow for a specific period of time, if you can buy their more comprehensive ones, they're running usually around $500 to $600. What it also does, it has a night system and a holiday system. So at night, it actually will shut the water off after 5 minutes. So you don't get up in the middle in the morning and find out that your house has had the hot water tank's been running for the last 8 hours into your whole house. Mm-hmm. It'll shut it off after 5 minutes.
And so, as a broker, you actually volunteer this information to your clients?
Yes, we promote it, and we actually quote, because usually the discounts will run anywhere from $50 to $150 a year. So you could easily pay that back in 3, 4, 5 years. You
Sure.
paid for yourself, and you've saved having all the frustration of having to deal with the claim and paying your deductible, which generally is these days is going to be $1,000 or higher.
Super. So what about other ways that we could be proactive in our homes?
Well, I guess just proper maintenance. Checking your connections on your dishwasher and your fridge to make sure that they're properly looked after.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, the things like rubber hoses on appliances, and you typically find those on
older models?
Yeah, well, not even older models. I mean, I just bought a brand new washer and steam dryer when I bought my house, and it came with rubber hoses. So I had to buy, as an option, the braided steel hoses. So I got some pretty high-end, top-of-the-line washer and steam dryer, but it was about $2,500 for them. And I still had to buy like another $35 or $40 set of braided hoses.
They didn't come included with the machines?
It didn't come included, even though that was sort of top-of-the-line, mm-hmm. high-end. So I mean, it's one of these things that it's frustrating for us as insurance companies that it's these small things that then cause significant water damage.
Like the $150 backup valve?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm just going back to these hoses for a sec, because as a consumer, it's like I would expect if I'm going and buying the top of the line that it would give me the top of the line connections.
Yeah, but it cuts the corners on those cases, and it's not the washing machine's fault anymore. Right. It's your fault. But
see, we don't even know what we don't know.
Exactly,
is what it all comes down
Absolutely.
to. Oh my gosh!
One of the great things with washer and dryer is that a lot of them will have the hot and cold water shut off right behind the washer and dryer. So if you're lucky enough that you have access to those, use those. So when you're not washing it, turn off the water. That way you don't have pressure in the line going towards the washer and dryer.
I've never heard of that before. How many? Really?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Never thought of that one.
Again, when I bought my house, again, a lot of stories about my house. It was a bit of a fixer-upper. But they had left those open for so long in a 1982 house that it actually started to leak when I closed it, because it had dried out the whole ball and gasket system, so it had never been closed with the rubber lines there. So again, it's just like if you left your garden hose attached to your outside hose bib with the pressure on, I mean, eventually it's going to burst. All the time,
sure.
Of course, people always turn those off, but why not turn off the ones to the washer and dryer?
Okay, good point. Point taken too, but it's also, as you were mentioning earlier, Cindy, about we live differently now. We're not in the house as much as we used to. We use the water more often.
Absolutely.
There's a bigger demand on our systems.
Well, and we're not in the house, where things are located. You know, people want the convenience of having their washer and dryer up on the second or third floor, which is, you know, closer to the bedrooms, which makes sense. But, you know, that can lead to significant damage if they do have an overflow. So, you know, keeping on top of those things.
Having a drain pan or something like that underneath
a
those,
drain pan, upgrading your hoses, all really important things. Even for, I know we've talked a lot about hot water tanks today, but one thing to consider would be a tankless hot water system.
Well, like the on-demand system?
Yeah, it's more like an on-demand system. So again, it's a money saver in terms of it being more efficient, and obviously in terms of having a hot water tank explode or burst and have hot water running through your fully finished basement is obviously not going to happen if you have an on-demand system. So they're a little bit more costly, but I think worth the investment.
The investment. And then, Andrew, what about just your general upkeep of your house? You mentioned when we started the show today about this time of year, you will get a lot of water claims being filed because of like leaky roofs or
and your eaves filling up with leaves. I mean, it's, you know, to hire somebody to clean them out if you can't do it yourself. But, you know, they plug up, or the leaves go down the drains, and then they back up down there, they collect there, and they get into your sump, and they start filling up your sump. And eventually this stuff all comes home to roost. The water has to have somewhere to go. And if it can't find a natural path through your sewer system, then it goes through the ground, and then it comes through the cracks in your foundation.
Grading is another big one, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, but
grading like your property?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's maybe a little bit more difficult, and because of course ground settles. But I mean, if you notice that when it rains and the water is pooling up against the side of your house, chances are you have a bit of a grading issue, and that would be one that you want to look at and invest in to make sure it sort of slopes away from the house and the water can go down towards the street, as opposed to against your foundation.
Well, or even a simple fix on that is you know, put some Big O down and have a gravel pit further out and have that slant that Big O that goes down into
Big O as in pipe.
Pipe, right.
Not everybody knows what Big O is.
I didn't know.
We do. We do. We just did a major backyard renovation. So,
so wherever the water's pooling, you dig down and then angle the Big O on an angle towards a form of gravel pit further out in your yard, and that'll help a lot as well.
Away from the house.
Yeah.
Where does somebody actually, where can someone go to buy some of these types of devices, shut-off valves or leak detection systems for the house? Is there somewhere specific that they can go? Is there a store for all that kind of stuff? Or?
Well, as I said, DC Pro has got one of the better systems out there. There is systems where you can have that are out there that they will detect water that leaks on a certain spot. But the problem with that is that if the leak detection monitor isn't right there, then you know the water could be running and you wouldn't be even be aware of it. So the reason I advocate for the DC Pro is that while the water will run for 20 minutes, at least then it shuts it off. Whereas if you put leak detection systems around your toilets and your washer and dryer and your hot water tank goes, the hot water tank could be running and you wouldn't even know it. So,
what about some discounts if I install some of these devices in my home? Am I eligible for discounts?
It varies from company to company, but there's a lot. They're becoming a lot more sophisticated. The backup valve for sewer backup gives a discount. If you have a sump pump backup system, so that electronics. So if the power goes out and your sump pump can't work, if you've got a battery operated sump pump system, because some houses actually do pump the sewer out of their system up the hill. So if I had a client just literally 6 months ago that happened. They just had we'd had heavy water, and they had a claim, and then just about finished cleaning it up, and the BC Hydro came in, they turned the water off, and the rain came in, and it ended up flooding their basement again. So then they ended up putting the backup battery system in. So.
Oh my gosh.
But definitely as companies, we're giving incentives and encouraging customers to take these loss mitigation devices and rewarding them on a premium basis.
And if you do have a claim, they're providing $1,000 towards that. So if you do have the claim, if you don't do it now, they'll certainly help you try and do it after the fact.
I'd encourage you not to wait till you have a sewer backup claim to install a mitigation device. However, if it does happen,
do it when you can.
Well, certainly.
And in regards to being organized and proactive, I've heard you mention this in other shows, Andrew, about taking inventory of what you have.
Well, just to protect yourself, because fires, I guess, is a bigger issue. But the water is going to wreck a lot of things, and it's stuff's going to get dragged out in a hurry. So you want to make sure you know what you do have around the house and have it inventoried. So if it ends up disappearing in the in a big pile of wet heap, that you know what you did have in your house.
We want to say thanks to all the experts on call today, Patrick Magnuson and Cindy Cardwell from Intact Insurance, along with our resident broker, Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. We've talked about water for a good hour here. Any final words from Intact about the seriousness of water and why it's so important?
For sure. I mean, I think we've stressed that water is it's the leading cause of water damage, and I think at Intact we're quite excited and quite proud to have this new enhanced water damage package. It's providing, I'm going to say, revolutionary coverage that wasn't available beforehand. So we really encourage our customers or any customers to go out and talk to your broker, and if it's not with Intact, any other company that happens to be offering something similar, but get protected and be aware of what you're covered for and what you're not.
Thank you, Patrick, Andrew, and Sydney. It's definitely worth a call to your insurance broker at this time of year to ensure that you have the right coverage. And don't be afraid to ask about some of the products from Intact that we spoke of today. Mainly the enhanced water damage package.
Right.
Intact Insurance is Canada's largest home, auto, and business insurance company, bringing peace of mind to more Canadians than any other insurance company. Thank you for listening today to Experts on Call. I'm Joanne Sutton on CL 650.